The film begins with a scientist named Endrick presenting a new military development that could change the situation on the battlefield. The dog has always been a friend of man, and his robot A.X.L, attack, speed, agility, is the best opportunity to demonstrate this. Meanwhile, young racer Miles Gill competes in motocross. In one of the corners, he collides with Sam, causing the chain to break, preventing the competition from continuing. After the race, Miles and his father Chuck ask the competitors for help, but they turn them down. A charming girl named Sarah notices this and steals the chain from the rich people in whose house her mother works and gives it to Miles. The guy takes part in the last race and wins, proving that he is the best racer. Meanwhile, an emergency occurs at the crane company, causing the robot dog to escape. Drones went looking for him, but so far no results. Miles decides not to stay at home and, at the persuasion of his father, goes to a party to which Sam invited him. Major tries to entertain the guest, but the only thing Miles is interested in is motorcycles. Sarah finds the guy in the garage and chats with him, noticing that Miles kept the drawing she threw away. In the morning, Chuck reminds his son that racing is not the only thing worth living for and asks him to think about his studies. Captain Weber calls Andrick to find out about the results of his project, but the scientist hides the fact that the robot has escaped. Closer to dinner, Sam invites Miles to participate in the filming of stunts on motorcycles that can glorify him. After a couple of successful jumps, the envious Sam distracts the guy so that his people add sweet water to the gas tank of the motorcycle and break it. During the next stunt, Miles loses control and falls off the top of a hill. The operator wanted to help him, but Sam forbade him to do this and forced his friends to leave the place, leaving the guy only a bag with his things and some fuel. Draining the tainted gasoline and pouring in new fuel, the guy notices an abandoned place from which strange sounds are heard. He throws a stone at one of the containers, then goes inside and sees a threat hiding behind the boxes. The guy hurries back to the motorcycle and tries to escape, but the metal dog is chasing him. At some point, Miles loses sight of the pursuer, but it turns out that the robot hid at the top of the hill. Continuing the escape, the guy sees how the dog crashes and stops chasing him. It turned out that the robot was badly damaged, and fittings were stuck in one of its paws. The dog perceives him as a threat and activates the self-destruct mode, but soon realizes that Miles is not dangerous and cancels the protocol. The guy tries to help the unfortunate dog and pulls out the fittings to save him from suffering. Realizing that the object can be trusted, A.X.L sends him an SMS message with instructions on how to restore it. Miles hauls the dog back into the container, using it as a repair garage, and notices the damage left by the bullets on the metal. Meanwhile, Sam and company watch the fall video and taunt the loser. Sarah has also seen a video posted online and demands to know where Miles has gone. Trying to fix the robot, the guy changes the damaged parts and uses parts of his own motorcycle for this. Miles later tucks in the metal dog and removes the muzzle. A.X.L feels that this is his friend and offers to play catch-up, asking the guy to put on a helmet and get behind the wheel of a motorcycle. Crane Company drones find the missing robot, but Endrick decides not to get involved. He understands that the development of the dog and his communication with people would take years, and now this process is quite natural. The scientist decides to observe the relationship between a robot and a person, collecting data on their communication. A couple of hours later, Sarah arrives at the junkyard and calls for Miles, but he is asleep. The dog reacts to a loud sound and takes the girl for a potential threat. He jumps into a pickup truck and buries its rear axle into the ground so Sarah can't drive away. Miles hears that something is going on and saves the girl by informing A.X.L that she is not a threat. The dog trusts the guy's words and recognizes Sarah as a friend, after which they spend time together. In the evening, the couple communicates, getting to know each other better. They understand that the robot is a military development and should be returned, but Miles is not ready for this, as the dog was threatened and shot to destroy. Analyzing the couple's mood, A.X.L senses their romantic mood and plays the right music for Miles and Sarah to dance. All this is carefully watched by Andrick and his programmer. The scientist's assistant knows all about the couple and their financial problems. He offers to generously pay Miles and Sarah But Endrick continues to refuse this idea because he wonders what their relationship will lead to. The next morning, the dog helps pull the pickup truck, and the couple take it with them, realizing that A.X.L cannot be left alone. On their way home, they stop at a gas station, and the robot cracks the security codes in an instant, allowing them to fill up for free and withdraw money from an ATM. Sarah's mother, who works at Sam's house, worries about her daughter and asks the guy to find her. He uses a program that tracks the location of the girl's phone and promises to return her home. Meanwhile, the couple change their minds and don't go home, but to Sarah's hideout, where she likes to paint on the walls. A.X.L analyzes the girl's work and projects it, helping her draw more precise lines. Here he notices a symbol that activates the protocol and tells his story. Miles and Sarah realize that A.X.L is a fast and agile combat robot designed for the needs of the military. After that, the dog, who completely trusts the guy, gives him the key. He takes a blood test from Miles, allowing him to be made A.X.L's sole full owner. Endrick sees that the biometric connection has been established and is surprised at the unprecedented success of his program. A couple of minutes later, Sam appears at the hideout, having tracked down Sarah. The girl asks Miles and A.X.L to hide in order to avoid additional victories. Having met Sarah, Sam behaves rudely towards her, and the guy stands up for his beloved. Major hits Miles in the face, and the robot, seeing this, attacks him. Realizing that the metal dog is completely under his control, Miles demonstrates his superiority and humiliates Sam, causing him to forget about Sarah forever. The girl is disappointed with the behavior of the guy because he was no better than the impudent Major, but she forgives him and A.X.L. The scientist watched all this and is delighted with how obedient the robot is. The programmer does not share Endrick's optimism because there could be civilian casualties. In the evening, the couple return home and tell Miles's father about the find. Meanwhile, Sam and his friends arrive at Sarah's hideout to take revenge on a hidden dog. He pours out a canister of fuel and lures the robot towards him, after which he uses a flamethrower and destroys it. The scientist saw all this and understands that he has lost touch with the multi-million-dollar project. Sarah sees a live broadcast of what is happening, and the couple is forced to return back, having forgotten the access key on the table. Upon arrival, they find a burnt robot, but it still shows signs of life. With the last of his strength, A.X.L sends them a message with repair instructions, and also paves the way to some unknown place for them. Meanwhile, Endrick's men come to Miles's father's house to look for the guy and his multi-million-dollar find. The father does not reveal the access key and takes the mercenary hostage to protect his son. The programmer realizes that the situation is completely out of the scientist's control and reports this to Captain Weber. Miles and Sarah take A.X.L to a 3D printing plant, where they restore all the damage and repair the dog. Now they need to wait 2.5 hours for it to restart and return to normal, by the standards of the robot, life. Here, a couple embrace feelings, and they kiss. As soon as the tracking system is activated again, Endrick sends mercenaries to the warehouse of the factory where A.X.L is located. The couple tries their best to delay them, so that the robot will activate before it is put on a restraining muzzle. Turning on, A.X.L protects his master and remembers who offended him. The robot programs itself to eliminate Sam and goes in search of him. Sarah and Miles understand that he needs to be stopped and hurry after the dog. A.X.L soon tracks down the offender and attacks him during the party, causing all the guests to flee the scene in horror. Sarah and Miles also come here, who at the last moment managed to stop the robot and protect Sam. The drones following the dog attack and shock him to knock A.X.L out of action. They are also surrounded by crane mercenaries who take Sarah and Miles hostage. The scientist can't access the control of the dog without a special key and forces the guy to return it, threatening the girl's life. Breaking out of the cage for a moment, Sarah takes a flashlight and paints a leaf with light, a symbol familiar to A.X.L. Recognizing the girl as a friend, he deactivates the attack protocol and attacks the scientist, who is forced to flee his own laboratory. The military arrive on the scene and decide to take control of the situation. Sarah diverts the attention of Captain Weber and her subordinates, in order for A.X.L and Miles to escape. Helicopters and drones chase both of them, causing the guy to fall off his motorcycle and break his arm. The robot decides to defend its master to the last and runs to the helicopter. Along the way, he is attacked by drones and electrocuted, but the dog does not give up. After copying all the data and memories to the cloud storage, A.X.L turns on the self-destruct mode and does not surrender, exploding and flying to pieces. A little while later, Endrick ended up behind bars as his developments were seen on the internet. Unable to decipher the codes, so Captain Weber tries to figure out who leaked the secret data to the network. The scientist does not know anything about this, but asks to keep an eye on Sarah and Miles as soon as they have a connection with the robot. As for the couple, they graduated from high school and the military helped with college admissions. On their way to adulthood with a little husky, Sarah and Miles receive a letter from the guy's father. Inside the robot access key, upon activating it, the couple receive a message with new instructions to restore their best friend and realize that A.X.L is still alive.